Hello, my name is Charlotte, GB cyclist and ambassador for the charity Ride for Freedom. I'm a professional musician as well as being part of the fantastic team at Ignata Finance. Becoming an ambassador has allowed me the great opportunity to take the message and the cause of the charity to the wider stage of both amateur and professional cycling. Ride for Freedom is a brilliant organisation that supports the remediation of victims and survivors of modern slavery and human trafficking. It's a cause that's very close to my own heart, and the concept of riding a bike to change a life really resonates very deeply with me. It was perhaps a little over 10 years ago now that I was diagnosed with a degenerative autoimmune disease. The prognosis was pretty grim, with the next steps being chemotherapy treatment. It really was through cycling that I was able to change my life and provided a real golden ticket out of an awful lot of pain and suffering. So on a personal level, I am just a huge supporter of the work that the charity does. According to the United Nations, human trafficking is the recruitment, the transportation, transfer, harbouring or receipt of persons by improper means such as force, abduction, fraud or coercion, and for improper purposes including forced labour or sexual exploitation. Tragically, it happens all over the world. It can happen to people of many different backgrounds and children of all different ages. Victims of human trafficking in Turkey are mainly from Central and Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, Azerbaijan, Indonesia, Morocco and Syria. As we've seen in recent years, the Turkish government have faced a real problem regarding displaced Syrians who have ended up as trafficking victims owing to their increased vulnerability. So, in order to raise greater awareness for these truly appalling human issues, I plan to cycle between Side on the west coast of Turkey all the way up to Bodrum. A total of about 700 kilometres following the Syrian migrants' path. Bodrum, of course, being the closest point between Asia and Europe, with only 6 kilometres of water left to go. So, today is day one of our tour through Turkey, raising awareness for Ride for Freedom and sponsored by Coin Panel. So this morning we started in Side. The first stop that we made was in Aspendos, which is one of the best preserved monuments in Turkey's ancient world. So Verdi's Grand March of Aida felt very apt for our time here in Aspendos. A timeless story of love and betrayal against a backdrop of war. Aida is an enslaved Ethiopian princess, torn between the love of her country and the Egyptian general that she falls in love with. So the last time that I played Aida was with the English National Opera at the London Coliseum. Of course, during the production you have 6 on-stage trumpet players dressed in full regalia, marching across the stage with fanfare trumpets, and then obviously you have 2 trumpet players in the pit, the orchestral pit, who play throughout the entire opera.
There were a pair of twins who were in love with the king's daughter, and the king didn't know who to give his daughter to, so one of them was told to make these aqueducts and one of them was told to build Aspendos, and whoever could finish building first would get the daughter. And apparently they finished both at the same time, so the king cut her daughter in half and gave it to each twin. That's also apparently.
Wow.
Apparently this went on for 25 kilometers and basically carried water to Aspendos from the mountains 25 kilometers away.
That's amazing. Oh, thank you.
Make tea with this.
Tea? Oh, wow.
Ben karışık seni Allah'ım.
As As I cycled away from Aspendos, I was really struck by the power of the universal language of music and how this had enabled us to communicate with one another. I'd arrived in a completely new corner of the world, surrounded by new people where we didn't share the language of either Turkish or English, but we were suddenly, within minutes of starting to play, thinking of the same story and communicating in the same language. It really brings it into sharp focus, just the importance of music, both culturally and throughout history, reaching across the whole world. So the last 40 kilometres that I've just ridden were part of the race that I did when I was out in Antalya in 2020, part of the UCI Gran Fondo World Series. And this is where the race finished, and this is where we stayed, which is quite cool. Antalya is a very popular tourist destination with its white sandy beaches, beautiful old town and just steeped in history. But research carried out by the International Children's Care and local NGOs shine a light on tourism's much darker side, most specifically the sexual exploitation of children in the tourism and travel sector in Turkey. Reportedly, most victims of this horrific crime are girls between the ages of 15 and 17, often employed in massage salons, in hotels, but quite often forced to work without payment. With Turkey housing over 4 million refugees and migrants, the Turkish government is well aware of the issues and is working incredibly hard to prevent trafficking and develop effective counter-trafficking responses. They've worked closely with the International Organization of Migration now since 2004. One of their key strategies is through raising awareness of the issues, helping people to identify where these problems can occur and the high-risk industries or situations, and to provide an education to those that are vulnerable, to the local people living within the cities and also within tourism. So our first day finished in a town called Kamar after about 151 kilometres. The last 35 kilometres in the pitch black freezing cold on the highways, which was a bit hairy but a fantastic end to the first day of the adventure. Day 2 started early with a fantastic traditional Turkish breakfast. Our first planned meeting point was Olympus, which is a city in ancient Lycia, presumably taking its name from the nearby Mount Olympus. So I've left my light with Henry charging in the car, and we've got a tunnel. So I think there's only one option, which is a massive detour and up and over. So the descent into Olympus was absolutely stunning. 15 kilometres of wide, sweeping roads. So we've got a little bit lost. The road was flooded over. We couldn't get across. So we went across that really wobbly wire bridge. And now we're in the bushes. So we're a little bit lost. I'm pretty sure I saw a man go through here. What's the road like between here and...
On the repair job.
Olympus seemed to have its own little microclimate, its own little otherworldly feeling, and just sort of time almost stopped.
Yes. Yeah, that's not... sweet.
So really strangely, Henry and I both agreed that the only real way to describe the feeling in the deserted city was that feeling when you find the perfect spot for a picnic and you just want to stay in that bubble of that temperature, the sunshine, the air, all day. So quite often when you were entering or leaving one of these towns, there were military checks on the road. And actually on this occasion, Bianca and I got pulled up on the way out of Olympus. And of course, all our documentation, passport, etc. were with Henry. Henry, who I had left at the bottom of the mountain. So I'm just getting to the church where St Nick was buried. And down here, we've got Christmas trees planted. How cool is that? See you later, dog. free. So I think this is going to be my last view of the sea for a bit. I think we're heading into the mountains. Should be fun. It's the 29th of December and I haven't got my trousers on. I'm so super warm. So warm. No? No. So I've had to make a stop. Like, we've had loads of climbs for just one massive descent, and I haven't got my gloves on or any proper kit. So I've stopped and I've warmed my hands up on the metal. That's about the best we've got right now. Halfway down our descent into Cash, which is down there. I thought we'd stop and look at the view. Look. How amazing is that? How ridiculous is this? So I'm just arriving into Cash, where I'm meeting Henry for breakfast. Tara Beach is actually said to be the birthplace of Santa Claus, or St. Nicholas, before he moved up to Demre, where he became a bishop. The beach is absolutely stunning. It's 12 miles long, which is the longest beach in Turkey. It's about 50 metres wide and just completely undeveloped, unspoiled and entirely protected. So I'm supposed to be meeting Henry at the top of this mountain, but I think, based on the fact that the road has just turned to pebbles and it's super steep, I think we're going to have to call Henry and get him to come down, because that's not going to happen tonight, or in the morning in fact, because this is definitely not the bike. Hey ho! All part of the adventure. It wasn't until I arrived in Bodrum and speaking to a journalist describing our journey, I found out that this mountain was renowned for being very dangerous and having many fatalities every year. So it's day 4. I'm really tired. I've done tons of climbing in the last couple of days and just tired, I think. Good though, good adventure, another big day today. Just gotta get up. So it was supposed to start about an hour ago, but my bike is filthy. It's got so much dust in it from yesterday. The chain is absolutely glued. So today is quite tough. The only way to get through this part of Turkey is on the motorway, and as you can see it's quite busy and really steep, but amazing view. It's just the sort of another 100 kilometres is quite terrifying, but we'll get there. The speed of the vehicles, many drivers on their phones, lorry drivers falling asleep, dangerously veering onto the hard shoulder. I think in the end it was the Spice Girls that got me through the day. So we're just on the final 10-kilometre descent down into Marmaris, which is quite cool. Like, today started like so hard, but it's kind of like got a second wind, and it's going to be about 90 miles by the time we drop down. But I'm on the main road again, so I probably better go. So yeah. We just made it to Marmaris. So day 5 of Sea Day to Bodrum. We are in Marmaris. We made it here last night. Last 20k in the dark, which was a little bit hairy but really fun, especially the 5-kilometre descent down into Marmaris. Today, all being well, we're going to make it to Bodrum way earlier than expected. Yeah, fingers crossed, and See you in Bodrum. It is so quiet here. We're just about to do our first ascent for the day. I've just seen it's a 10%er, so that's going to be a bit of a weight lift for the legs. But compared to yesterday, this is just heaven. Like yesterday, the only option was to go on the motorways and the highways, and today we're just following the coast. So the roads are really cobbly, which makes it quite tiring and makes your wrists really jolted and shoulders, but it's amazing. It's quite steep. That was properly steep. And that's quite a long drop down. So we've had a bit of an accident because there's lots and lots of oil on the road, and I can't move. I think actually maybe I can't film. So as you might have gathered, the ride's finished a little bit early. Bianca came out from underneath me at about 60 kilometres per hour, so it was quite a bang. Poor Bianca is broken, and I've got a broken collarbone and 2 broken ribs, 6 and 7 I think. But I have got some super nice drugs, which are making me feel a lot better. But really gutted not to be able to finish the ride. Definitely can't finish it off. There was only 30 miles left to go. So close. But never mind. The injuries were actually a bit more serious than they had originally thought. I had multiple breaks across my shoulder blade, a separated AC joint, 2 broken ribs, a punctured lung, a pneumothorax, and a serious concussion. All a bit scary and a long way from home. What's this?
This is the Bodrum Bay of Gukova, or Gulf of Gukova. Great opportunity, your ride, coming from Side in Antalya all the way to Bodrum. And something I've explained to Charlotte already is one of the old guys who brought the attention to Bodrum years ago, Jevar Shakir, the old fisherman of Halikarnos, said maybe nearly 100 years ago now, he said that when you come to Bodrum, there's only one thing you don't know, and that's when you're going to leave. So Charlotte came and was due to leave a few days ago, but unfortunately her arrival on New Year's Eve was in an ambulance, not on her bike. So I'm sure that we can enjoy the time that she's here and have a look around, which we've been doing, and explaining about what happened during this largest movement of humanity ever when the Syrian war was on, and obviously the flow of refugees that came through Bodrum that we were on the front line of. So as Cohen panel, we're here and trying to sort of promote the idea of digital assets and freedom of movement of your money, freedom of custody of your money, the main principles of digital asset or crypto business as a whole. And obviously we want to stay in touch and support the charity as much as possible, because there's great synergy between what you guys are doing and what we're trying to do. Freedom being the key word, ride for freedom, and the idea that the charity sets up stations in different countries and provides bikes to refugees who are caught in certain situations. That freedom of movement, of being able to get out and move around, just a bicycle can change their life. It's a fantastic idea that we fully support.
It has been an incredibly humbling experience, just how much help I had. I could have never have asked for it or expected it. But I'm one of the lucky ones. Victims of modern slavery and human trafficking don't have that help, they don't have that support, they don't have somebody who can translate their language. It was an horrific accident to have happened, but I do believe that everything happens for a reason, and on returning to the UK, that reason became very apparent. This is happening on our own doorstep. Brighton is my hometown. I think that we all have our own part to play in combating these issues, but that really does start with education and awareness. I think that my final reflection would be in the vulnerability of finding yourself completely dependent. Being unable to speak the language was terrifying, especially in the ambulance, where I was unable to communicate that something was starting to go horribly wrong inside my chest. There was also the financial vulnerability. Medical costs were escalating, but I had no alternative but to pay it in order to get the treatment that I needed in A&E. Finally, there was the feeling of being stuck, unable to return to the UK. My grandfather actually had a stroke the week after the accident, and it was really devastating not being with my family at a very important time. Whilst I was incredibly fortunate to be very well looked after, I suddenly had no choice, no independence, and no way of leaving. My time in this situation was only transient, but for victims of modern slavery and human trafficking, it's a lifetime.